live from the Wallace Family Homestead and City National Arena. This is the VGK Insiders Show.
Two-part question for you. How important...
Oh, you're trying to squeeze it in just in case.
Yeah, I have to, because Stormy's going to take the rest of this.
Wise choice.
I'm going to walk out of the studio after this, too. You can take the rest of the way. I'll take the segment off.
It has to... When we started, I called you JT. It's JVT, though, right? I said JT, and I apologize for that.
With Darren Millard and Ryan Wallace on Fox Sports Las Vegas.
Welcome in, Vegas Golden Knights Insider Show, Fox Sports Las Vegas. Ryan Wallace, Darren Millard, Ruben Guerrero hanging out with you for the next 2 hours. How we doing, boys?
Well, we're stealing stuff from other shows, other stations.
That's a Jared Justice question. I don't know what to tell you.
What's going on there? Like I was on with John and Stormy earlier today on VSiN.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I didn't realize that we could just swipe stuff from other radio stations. I know there's a working relationship, but that kind of caught me off guard. Because if we're going to start doing that,
again,
I'm just going to start running nonstop stuff from 100% Hockey, the podcast.
I
mention it
figured
all the
that
time,
would be,
but I'll just run it because that's outstanding stuff.
Yeah. Well, why don't you just tell Jared to pull yesterday's episode and just make an open out of you and John and all
Mike
of your
Emmerich?
guests? I mean, listen. Yeah, I'm just saying. If
where
Jared's
the
going
big
to do
names hang
it,
out anyway.
If Jared's going to do it for this, he could do it for that.
And he's not even here to respond to it. He just does it and then walks away and leaves Ruben in charge. And Ruben's going to take the fall for this. I apologize, Ruben, but you're going to take the hit for this. You pressed the button.
Ruben didn't do anything.
He pressed the button.
He didn't do anything.
He pressed the button.
Come
Ruben,
on. Jared
Ruben,
made
turn on
the
your
opens.
microphone. Ruben, turn on your microphone for a second.
This is unfair.
All right. I apologize. It's
no, you don't.
By
if you
means,
felt bad about it, you wouldn't do it.
By no means malicious, but you're going to take the hit for this.
Yes, it is.
You press the button. You have to own it.
Oh no, that's probably
unbelievable.
Stuff flows
downhill. Ruben knows. Come on. This is all Jared's fault. We all know this.
Game 2 in the books between the Vegas Golden Knights and the Anaheim Ducks. You're going to hear from John Tortorella in just a little bit. There was media availability before the team took off for Southern California. Games 3 and 4 coming up on Friday and Sunday at Honda Center in what is now a 1-1 series between first in the Pacific and third in the Pacific. It was a similar game in the sense of Anaheim was more on the front foot last night. A different game because Vegas wasn't able to overcome that. What was your initial reaction, and did it change as you thought about it more over the last 20 hours?
Well, I think my initial reaction was the Golden Knights penalty kill gave them every opportunity in that game in the first period. It was a tremendous 5-on-3 kill. It was an excellent bit of penalty killing from the Golden Knights. Carter Hart, very, very good again in the first period. And then, I think in a lot of ways, my prevailing thought coming out of that is you gotta find a way to get to your game immediately after that. And it didn't really happen for the Golden Knights. Now, that being said, they did have chances.
Or I'll just jump in there.
Because
immediately after is really tough, especially when you got a power play, and it was the worst time in the world for a power play to be given to.
Well,
the Golden Knights.
you and I we're gonna differ on that because your power play.
No. Here's why it's the worst time in the world for the power play because you've gone with a short bench for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And
sure.
Then you get a power play, and you're going with a short bench for another 2 minutes. There's half your lineup hasn't played. What you want to do is get into a stretch of 5-on-5, get some guys some touches, get everybody involved in the game, and then if you had your druthers, get to the power play. Now, you're not going to turn it down a man advantage, and if you score on that, boy, does that get the joint hopping off the great penalty kill. But from a flow standpoint, it between the penalty kill and then the power play, you lost half your roster for the first period.
Yeah, you're not wrong about that, but
you
also had an opportunity on the power play after a tremendous penalty kill with the building absolutely rocking to go out there and take a goal, to take a lead, and it didn't happen. Now, we have argued about the power play over the last couple of weeks, and that's totally fine. I'm right back at the spot where I feel like you got to go back to the 5-forward power play. And we can disagree on that if you disagree, but I just think that has been the best iteration of the Golden Knights power play all season long. And I know that it wasn't ideal timing, but maybe you get one if you've got that familiarity and that power play that bailed you out many times over the regular season.
That surprises me because I didn't mind their power play last night. Thought they created chances and some pretty good looks. Maybe not like dominant 2 minutes of power play time, but they each man advantage opportunity. I thought that they generated some quality opportunities through it. It was a first period in which you didn't get an opportunity to really get into any type of offensive flow. So you're really working with 40 minutes, 2/3 of the hockey game, instead of 60 minutes from an attack perspective, which is where they wanted to be better last night from game number one. They wanted to be more assertive with their opportunities and their play, and it just wasn't available to them because of the penalties. And the penalties were penalties. The referees called what they saw, and those were infractions. I don't think they were reckless, maybe a little careless in their action. It didn't come from being fast and loose and undisciplined. Just a little bit careless in their play. You got to tighten that up. And what did I say yesterday on the TV side on the pregame show and with you our show yesterday is one of the advantages that Vegas had over the course of the year was they were positive on the power plays versus times that they had to go on the penalty kill. They had many more opportunities on the man advantage side. And in game number one, it was tilted in the Anaheim Ducks' favor, 4-2. And last night was, could they get on the power play more than they had to kill penalties? That was one of the things that I had circled on my want-to-do list to give you more of an opportunity to create chances and establish your offensive game throughout the course of the night. And that was crumpled up and thrown in the garbage right away because of what happened. Marvelous performance. Incredible effort. When you look at what happened there, it was a 5-on-3. You had your number one forward on the penalty kill in Jack Eichel, and given a double minor. You had 4 penalties called in the first half of the opening period. Like, nobody comes out of that unscathed. A victory there would have been only allowing 1, and they got through it. They gave themselves a chance, and I feel bad that is almost put to the side because of the result of the game. But that was one of the more impressive performances by a group. Just pure desperation. What Mark Stone said after the game was just do whatever you can in that situation. A minute 40 on a 5-on-3 dealing with a double minor. But then you got to try and find your game. That's much easier said than done. And I know you say the power play's got to step in that regard, but like, you're coming off like just chaos on the other side. Then you got to flip the switch on the other side. Much easier said than done. And I know people have that rhetoric in their head, but I'm just telling you, it was almost unfair to have a power play right then, right after, because you're still digesting everything, and nobody's had the touches of the puck at all, and nobody's in any type of offensive rhythm at all. Never mind that your half your roster, like your middle of your roster, which doesn't kill penalties, or maybe doesn't get power play time, gets totally lost. And there's nothing the coaching staff can do about it because you've got your penalty killers and your power play guys. And I was optimistic after the first period. Okay, get into a rhythm. And the first 5 minutes of the second period were really good. It's probably the best stretch that Vegas had the entire night in zone time and pressure, shift over shift. And Ashley Weiss and I were watching the game up in the press box, and we were both commenting. This looks more like what we expected the first period to be before the penalty trouble. And then Anaheim shifted it. And then the next 5 minutes of the second period, they took the game back and wrestled momentum away from Vegas for the middle period. And that surprised me. And it was some good play by Anaheim. There was an inability from both the 15:02 mark of the second period, time left on the clock, where Vegas wasn't able to sustain any type of forecheck or zone time, and whatever happened in that stretch, whether it's the good or the bad, is something that John Tortorella and company will be taking a good look at, because there was positive in that stretch, but then Anaheim was able to counter it.
Yeah, I mean, you got to give a lot of credit to the Ducks. I thought that they were really good. Obviously, they would have loved to have buried a couple of their chances on that 5-on-3 or with the power plays, the early power plays. That didn't happen. They were able to kind of deal with the fact that they let a huge opportunity fall by the wayside. Then they found their game a bit there in the second period, like you mentioned. And, the Golden Knights, and it kind of harkens back to something John Tortorella said earlier today, just didn't seem to have the puck enough. Didn't have the puck enough in the offensive zone. Weren't able to lean on Anaheim and create the breakdowns. And that really has been the story of the first two games. Like, there just hasn't been enough of the Golden Knights in the offensive zone holding on to pucks, creating.
They're getting it there,
but
they're not able to maintain it.
Right, that's the point. Like, it's one and done in terms
Anaheim's
of their
able to
offensive
get
chances.
out, escape their zone with relative ease through the course. John Tortorella spoke earlier today. Oh, go ahead, Ryan.
No, I wonder in terms of that aspect of the game, is that more Anaheim or is that Vegas not getting to where they need to get to with their forecheck? Like,
I think
do you think it is?
I would say it's a little bit of both, because Anaheim's got some good guys back there who can turn the puck up. And something that Tort said on his side is he wants to get back to the puck in his own zone, in the Golden Knights zone, faster, so they can get the puck up. Anaheim's done a good job of that, and the way that you make it difficult on them is you got to be quicker on your forecheck. You got to make them make decisions before they want to make decisions, and you have to have support. And that's probably the part that doesn't get talked about enough, is you can have a guy, the F1, as the broadcasters and coaches love to call it, is the first forechecker coming in. That's the guy that's doing the banging. That's the guy that's laying the hits and putting stuff in the old bank account of attrition. But he's also making the player that has the puck make a decision, hopefully before or in a wrong place that they would necessarily like to. The follow-up to that is your second forechecker, your support, that is able to read that play, jump in and win a puck battle or intercept a pass and cause a turnover. They're not getting enough of that. They're not getting enough of that just follow-up support from the second and the third guy in the zone, which is causing Anaheim to be a lot more efficient in being able to get out of their zone. John Shannon's going to join us in just a little bit, and we got a real treat. Kenny Albert from TNT, Kenny Albert from everywhere, is going to join us. Nobody's called more of the Big Four sports at a national level than Kenny Albert.
Yeah.
That's just a fact. He just set the record
busy
a week
guy.
and a half ago, and he's a great guy. He counts me as a personal friend, so looking forward to catching up with Kenny in just a little bit. But right now, let's check in with John Tortorella, who spoke to the media before the team flew off to Anaheim.
How do you spend a day like today where you're traveling, you've watched tape and know the things you want to work on, but you aren't able to actually implement it on the ice with the guys yet?
I've just been watching tape all day long. How's that going? Watching the tape.
Just wonderful.
How do you try to create a more? You talked about maybe more time in their own end. How do you try to create a more sustained attack? Do you think?
It comes down to battles. Yeah, so we still trying to find our game.
Is there anything you saw during the film that you picked up that you might, be able to take forward? And
We don't have the puck enough.
Towards in 04, I was actually in Tampa at the Tribune, covered your Cup move, and have you been in touch with Marty? It's kind of freaky that there's a chance that you could play Marty in the final. Is that like?
Whoa.
I mean, it's kind of wild.
Let's just leave it at that. I've been in touch with Marty. Yes.
when you come into a team when you did late in the season and you're trying to make adjustments here in the postseason, how difficult is it not have that, maybe that long-standing knowledge of a team and the players?
No, I'm good. I understand the players. I think the players understand me better. I have a great support staff and the coaches and Kelly and George. I understand. I have a pretty good idea of the makeup of the players, where I can put them. That isn't a detriment at all right now.
Anaheim has had this reputation of being a group that couldn't defend. How well have they defended so far in this series?
They've done the job. I'm not going to talk much about the other team, but they've done the job.
Riley Smith, where's he fitting into the picture these days?
I'm not sure.
You guys were in this boat the last series, actually down to what you said, belief in the guys. Is that what helps you right now, even though it's 1-1 and you haven't found your best game yet?
Yeah. We haven't. It's we're not down in the series right now. But we've got to find our game, and we have not done that yet. That's incumbent upon us as a coaching staff to try to give them the right information, and then as a group try to find it.
Some of the numbers say that you were better in game 2, slightly. How do you see it?
Last night?
Yeah.
I haven't even looked at the numbers. I've been looking at the tape, and
What does the tape say in comparison?
a little bit of the same.
A little bit same.
Yeah.
Sisson said, we asked him after the first period last night, how hard is it to get through being shorthanded that early, and can you find your game? And he shrugged it off. He's like, we got to get to our 5-on-5 game. There's no excuse.
Yeah,
You see it the same way?
Yeah, I thought we lost an opportunity, quite honestly, after a great penalty kill like that, not to piggyback on it and get our game. And listen, it puts people on the bench for a number of minutes. I'm sure it takes them a little while to get back into the flow. I tried to do the best job I could to get other guys back in the flow right away. We lost an opportunity in a great situation and killing those penalties. Maybe not getting it done in the first period because it takes some time, but that doesn't, it shouldn't affect the second and third period.
You mentioned, I think, the other day, towards there's video, there's analytics, there's your own eyes. Do you trust your eyes more than any of those things?
I trust my eyes and stomach. Yeah.
You don't have much of a stomach. You don't have much of a
Yeah. We have a great staff, analytics staff, and there's some great numbers there, but the eyes is so very important because sometimes analytics doesn't. It's hard to correlate intangibles that go on in the game. Those are very important things in playoffs. So it's mostly an eye test for me.
Is there an area that stands out that you have to be better at in game 3?
I'm not going to talk about a lot of specifics on it.
No, but is there one in your head that you can't?
There's one in my head.
Yeah.
Yes, but I'm not going to put it in your head.
You wouldn't want to be in there.
When you have a veteran group that's been there, been through the battles, been through the postseason, all the things that they've done, how much do you rely on them to just kind of call on them?
Oh, absolutely. We went through it in the first round. We went through it during the regular season a little bit in some games. Yeah, I have the utmost trust, but it's my job, as I said yesterday, to coach a team and how we're playing. I have a number of things in my head that needs to be brought to attention here really quickly before we do put ourselves in a really bad spot. So, but I also respect the group. How I coach this group is totally different how I coach a younger team that's just starting to go through it. So I need to show them that respect. But points will be made.
George, how would you rate the power play so far?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. You got me at the wrong time as far as ratings.
You didn't make any lineup changes from game 1 to game 2, but during the game you did. Do you foresee kind of carrying some of those forward?
I'm not sure what I'm going to do.
Do you sleep? Do you get Not much sleep? Do you get crappy sleep at this time of year?
Even if you're winning, I think the coaching staff is so busy on all these teams, just trying to prepare for the next day. That's our job. It's the players' game. We need to get them the information. We need to do our job so we can take away all obstacles when the game is played. So the most important part of this business is the game. It's our job, and we know it going in.
John Tortorella on this day between games 2 and 3 of the second round series in the Western Conference Stanley Cup playoffs, tied up at 1 against the Anaheim Ducks. It's funny, some of the things that you hear from there, a lot of the same. Watching game 1 to watching back game 2 from his impressions on the Golden Knights' performance. They won game 1, lost game 2, but a consistent theme from the game between the Ducks and the Golden Knights.
Yeah, for sure. I think for John Tortorella, he's still waiting for a better game from his team. There have been, spurts here and there over the first 2 games, and they go to Anaheim now looking to get the next win, and that's kind of where they need to be. They need to bring with them to Anaheim a much stronger game in Game 3 than they had in Game 2 and 1.
I love his line there because I'm wondering, does he have a theme that he sees to be able to zero in on? And he says, it's in my head, I'm not putting it in your head, which is totally what you'd expect from National Hockey League head coaches. But it does sound like there's something there that he can see from the opening 2 games to focus on. That's the John Tortorella side of things. John Shannon coming up, the insider from the National Hockey League and co-host of 100% Hockey, the podcast, joins us next on Fox Sports Las Vegas.
He is 100% of the reason to listen to 100% Hockey. The legend, John Shannon, joins the VGK Insider Show.
John Jacob Jingleheimer-Schmidt, all of us also goes by John Shannon. How are you, Shanny?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Where are you these days?
Well, I'm just in the center of the hockey universe that all they do is win draft lotteries.
Mm-hmm. So the lows of the debate over the general manager in Toronto, let's start there, and then the highs of people driving around downtown Toronto, honking their horns, celebrating, winning the first overall draft choice, if they want to go that way. I assume they are. Where are the Toronto Maple Leafs right now? What's the feeling around the organization?
I think that there's still a lot of confusion because they're dealing with a lot of people from the old administration, and they've hired new bodies to run it. And I think people are waiting to be told whether they're going to work or get a pink slip. And so right now, as teams should be scouting junior hockey, scouting the minor pro leagues, having amateur meetings, I think there's a lot of people wondering if they still have jobs.
When you kind of view the fact that Toronto potentially has the first overall pick, if they keep it, how much, if at all, does that kind of expedite the plans for a retool, rebuild on the fly?
I'm not sure, Ryan, because they have so many holes to fill. Now they're not as bad as Vancouver when it comes to that, but they have a ton of weakness on defense. They don't have very much strength up the middle. They haven't been able to find a legitimate replacement for Mitch Marner. The only place that I would argue, the only place that they would probably feel okay with is in goal, where Anthony Stolarz and Joseph Woll are the 2 goaltenders. But even that's, Darren, you can help middle of the pack goaltending.
Yeah, because they can't stay healthy.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I think they're better than that on talent, but availability puts them into almost closer to a bottom third.
Yeah, and you know, staying healthy is something that the Maple Leafs have had a problem. No, let's face it. You know, lots of teams have health issues, and they do have some skill in the position, but they haven't been able to sustain it. That's for sure.
You know, we haven't heard from Austin Matthews at all.
No, not certainly not since the hiring of Matt Sundin and John Chayka. I suspect that we will hear dribs and drabs over the next 2 or 3 weeks, certainly before the draft, about what Austin feels and whether he wants to be part of whatever they do here, or does he feel that it's time for him to move on?
Well, the silence just in this short period is telling to me, because I know people have reached out to him. I know people have contacted him.
Yeah.
He's just not talking right now.
No, because I think that he's at a bit of a crossroads. I think that he doesn't really, you know, he loves Toronto. He, you know, by the end of this contract, he will have played for the Maple Leafs in theory for 12 years. That's a long time in the National Hockey League to play with one team. So from that perspective, you know, he likes living here. He's a star. He has tons of commercial endorsements across Canada because of it. But at the same time, I think at a certain point, and I think the Olympics probably fueled a bit of this, you know, he wants to win. And if you look at where the Leafs are and what the Leafs are, I'm not sure that they're in any better position to win in the short term, say the 2 years remaining on his contract. I'm not sure they're in any position to do that. And so that will probably dictate whether he wants to stay or go.
I just compare it to what we heard from Connor McDavid after their first-round exit. I know it's different because one team made the playoffs, one team didn't. But the rhetoric from McDavid, I want to win in Edmonton, and the silence from Matthews, there's a real difference in the messaging there, in my interpretation.
But is that really about him, or rather the person, or is that about the situation? Is really the question.
Well, you know, your organization just won the draft lottery. I would expect the captain to have a quote somewhere. Somewhere.
Yeah, I guess I'm not so sure about that. He doesn't live here. He's rehabbing not far from where you guys are. In fact, he's rehabbing in Arizona. Yeah. So that would be one you have to look at. I would think, and I would hope that if he's part of maybe the best indication we would have is that if he was part of the reconstruction of this hockey club, that he would actually show up in Buffalo and make the pick. It was the city that he was drafted in. He was the last first pick overall the Maple Leafs had in 2016. And if he walked in and said, you know, I'm selecting Gavin McKenna for the Toronto Maple Leafs, then you'd have a sense that Austin Matthews was committed to the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Hey, do you think it's a slam dunk that Toronto takes Gavin McKenna from Penn State via Medicine Hat?
I don't. I think that Ira Stenberg is probably a more complete player right now. And I think that a lot of people are going to say that if you want a shorter turnaround, you're better off with Ira Stenberg than you would be with McKenna. And at the same time, there are at least 3 quality defensemen.
Yes. That
might just be more important for this team to invest in. And I would think that might actually be the storyline for 2 or 3 of the teams near or at the top of the draft, that they look at these defensemen, whether it be Reed or Corrales or Verhoff, and say, you know what, we might want a defenseman instead.
That's where I think San Jose is going to go with 2.
Yeah, so do I. Do I. That makes a ton more sense. They have a really good fleet of forwards. They're solid in goal with Askarov, and they do need defensemen. And the playoffs, their defense wasn't good enough, and a young right-handed defenseman would suit what San Jose needs.
John Shannon's with us from 100% Hockey, the podcast on the VGK Insider Show on Fox Sports Las Vegas.
John, you've illuminated kind of what the needs would be for Toronto with that first overall pick. How big of a decision or important of a decision is this for John Chayka as kind of his first big thing that he's going to do as general manager?
Well, Ryan, I'll tell you what. I would not be surprised to see him swing for the fences beforehand. Mm-hmm. Try to do something of impact, positive impact, before the draft. Teams that aren't in the playoffs or teams that have eliminated the playoffs can make trades now. They can actually make trades now. So it would not surprise me if a team like Toronto looks at what they have and then tries to say, okay, how can we make this team better? Can we trade? Is there somebody out there that fits what we want that is available now, or in that window between the end of the Stanley Cup final and the draft, can we make a trade that will benefit this hockey club, whether it be on draft day or whether it be sometime beforehand? So that I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised to see John Chayka try to, conjure something up on a trade side before the draft even occurs to make that first big impression, because trust me, he has to make a first good impression in this city with this team before people fully get on the Chayka bandwagon.
Is Carolina going to lose a playoff game?
Is Colorado?
I asked you first.
Right. Are we going to have two teams 12-0 meet for the Stanley Cup final? I mean, who knows? I think Philadelphia will win one of the next two. Philadelphia was close to winning game 2.
Yeah,
they really were.
I think they should have won game 2. They had some chances.
Yeah, and we talked about it before the playoffs started. We talked about it during the Ottawa series for Carolina. Freddie Anderson's the key, and Freddie Anderson has been unbelievable.
You won't give up on that, eh? Like you've been doubting Carolina all year, and I've been battling for Carolina, and we've locked horns on this. And you even at 6-0 to start, you're still sticking to your guns. I admire your loyalty.
I am so skeptical. I know that's not I'm so skeptical that he can stay healthy. He's a really good goaltender, but can he sustain it? Is the big question. Listen, let's talk about this. Your pal and my pal, Steve Valiquette, says what about goaltenders and how many games they can play before they should get changed? Give me the number.
7.
Oh, how many games has Freddie played?
6.
Oh, so we got one more game to go before, you know what? What if something happens to Freddie? All of a sudden there's a problem. And I'll tell you what.
This is the most lame argument I've ever heard.
If he gets injured in the next 2 games, I'm coming on here next Thursday, guns a-blazing, baby. Guns a-blazing.
We'll open up the phone lines, and you can come on earlier. Yeah, Steve Valiquette from Clearsight Analytics and does some work with the New York Rangers, says that every goaltender's got a good 7-game stretch in them. Some can stretch
7 games
a little bit longer. Sometimes it's a little bit shorter, but most guys can put 7 really good games together, and then it gets a little wobbly, and they either need a reset or you have to work your way through it.
Look at Jakub Dobeš last night. Jakub Dobeš, 7 games against Tampa, really good. Hit game number 8. There's a couple of questionable goals against Buffalo Sabres. So I'm just listen. As you, and I'm big into the numbers and the analytics, and I'm just following up with.
Yeah, you're ridiculous right now.
John, you look at the Anaheim Ducks. series tied 1-1 with the Vegas Golden Knights. First round, they scored a bunch of goals. They were able to do a lot of damage on the power play. It hasn't been the case here through 2 games. It's been more defensive responsibility out of Anaheim through the first 2. What, if anything, has impressed you about the Ducks in this second round matchup with the Golden Knights?
Well, just that, Ryan. You know, and you saw the Ducks play as much as I did this year. They were great at fire wagon hockey. They were great at getting up the ice and scoring goals, and they were just as good as the worst goals at times. What they have done in the last 2 games of the series against Edmonton and these first 2 games against is play more structured, defensive, responsible, and I think there was a lot of people skeptical that could happen with this young team that's really still learning how to win. So the fact that they have been so responsible defensively is the most important aspect of what they've done. And Joel Quenneville's not afraid to get exactly what he wants of this team, doing what he has to do with whether it's not dressing Mason McTavish again or getting guys who have played very well all season long, giving them 11 or 12 minutes like Beckett Seneca. So from that perspective, this is Joel Quenneville inserting his will into a situation that forces this team to play a lot more structured defensively, and that's the most important thing that they need to do at this time of year.
Colorado, Minnesota. Everybody was looking forward to the second round series coming out of the Central, whether it be Dallas and Colorado or Colorado and Minnesota, and it's fizzled right off the bat.
It'll be better in St. Paul, though. It will be better in St. Paul. You know, I fully expect that the Wild, they might win both games there.
3 days between games too. There.
Yeah, well, that's stupid. You know, let's face it, that's just stupid. We know why it's happening.
Yeah,
you know, they want it. Yeah, that's right. I'm sitting in my home office in Toronto, dictating all the TV needs of the National Hockey League.
You're the TV guy in this conversation, so I'm blaming you.
But listen, when I was the TV guy, I loved every second night. East one night, West the next. That's the way to do it. East one night, West the next. And so you knew it's a Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Oh, that's the Eastern Conference. You know, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Western Conference.
So that's now they've ruined it. They've gone and ruined it.
It's totally unpredictable.
Yeah.
And it's difficult at times to track. Like, how many games are there tonight?
There's one.
Yeah, only 1 game in the second round. Yeah. Gosh, that's hard to take. I mean, I need at least 2 games. You know, but they've done that because TV wants it, and they want to extend every round, particularly the first 2 rounds, to go at least 34 days, so that they ensure that the Stanley Cup Final is in that June 6th to 16th window. That is best for network television in the United States. That's why we're doing it, so that ABC can have alternate nights between the NBA championship and the Stanley Cup Final. So that's what they're trying to arrange.
Before we go, can you tell everybody about the conversation that we had this week with Mike Doc Emmerich?
What do you want to know? I mean, we were all over the map with it. And let's face it, the guy's a legend. He's been the voice of the National Hockey League and the Stanley Cup Final in the United States for, almost 2.5 decades. He's retired now, and it was great to hear that voice and tell some stories and have some laughs about Stanley Cup Finals of the past and playoff games of the past. Doc was great. He was actually, when you said, Doc, our final question, Mike actually said, "Ready?" You know, he was sad. He could have gone on for another hour. He was mad. He could have gone for another hour.
Yeah, I don't know whether he was mad, but he was sad.
He was mad at you. So, and I can see that. You know, so
I get it.
It was great. It was a great It was different than we normally do. It wasn't, trying to, squeeze stories out of guys that aren't prepared to tell stories. This was a guy that's a master storyteller and loved to sit and talk, and you could really hear and feel the passion and love he has for the game of hockey. It was fun.
We celebrate an anniversary this week. It pops up in my timeline all the time. The Jim Schoenfeld, Don Koharski.
Have another donut, you fat pig.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Do you remember that they had the fill-in linesman for the game, and they didn't even have refereed jerseys? When was that? That was late 80s?
That would have been, 1987.
87, yeah.
1987, and it was all because there was a disagreement on a certain situation, and Lou Lamoriello and the New Jersey Devils took the NHL to court to get an injunction over Jim Schoenfeld being suspended for pushing Don Koharski because he was suspended for the game, and Lou Lamoriello put an injunction in place, or tried to get an injunction in place in a courtroom, won the injunction, and so Schoenfeld shows up behind the bench, and in protest, the referees would not work.
No.
And so there's the head of officiating, John McCauley, Wes McCauley's father, by the way. John McCauley sitting in the penalty box, tutoring basically high school referees, not necessarily guys that were in high school, but men that actually refereed high school hockey in New Jersey as they refereed a Stanley Cup playoff game at the Meadowlands in New Jersey.
An incredible moment in our league's history.
And if you go on YouTube, if you Google Don Koharski, Jim Schoenfeld, the ABC affiliate in New York was in the hallway as they came off the ice, and Schoenfeld pushed Koharski, and Schoenfeld gets ushered away with the PR guy, a guy named Larry Brooks, who has just passed away as being the New York Post hockey writer, and he goes over his shoulder, and Koharski says to Koharski, "Have another donut, you fat pig." At which point somebody knocks Koharski, and Koharski takes a dive. And if Don Koharski was with the NHL in 2026, he would have got a letter from Colin Campbell for embellishment.
Oh, you think he took a fall?
Oh, what a dive he took! It was one of the great dives of all time.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't know whether he dove or not, but there was contact.
Well, there was contact, but Koho. Oh, I can't believe I just did that. But
yes,
Don Koharski, yeah, I know. Don Koharski made it look like he had been shot at 20 feet. So it was the silliest thing I ever saw. So.
On the subject of referees, I saw our friend Don Van Massenhoven this week. Big hug to him. Love that guy. He's the series supervisor between Vegas and Anaheim. Love catching up with Van Massenhoven.
So that means he's had a lot of conversations with Joel Quenneville.
Yes. And there's probably a couple on the other side as well.
Sure.
Thanks for this, buddy. We'll talk to you tomorrow morning.
Hold on. I just got to
okay, sorry.
say hello to my pal George McPhee. Hello, George. I hope you're listening. You're probably down in the South Bay, maybe in Newport Beach, having a little Mexican food, on the beach, enjoying yourself in Orange County. But I'm sure you've got Fox Sports Las Vegas dialed up on the internet.
For sure. I directed him more to Hermosa, but maybe he went over.
Oh, no. Laguna and Newport, there's a lovely Mexican restaurant at the top of the hill in Laguna called Las Brisas.
Okay.
It's just it's spectacular.
All right. We got to exchange ratings then, because I got a couple of good spots, sort of under the radar spots in Hermosa. We'll connect. Maybe we'll do it tomorrow morning on 100% Hockey.
Or maybe not.
Okay. John Shannon, our NHL insider, will be back with more on Fox Sports Las Vegas.
Live from the Wallace Family Homestead and City National Arena, this is the VGK Insiders Show.
Oh, man. It's not great for Dostal. Eichel threw the puck towards the net. And the Golden Knights are on the board in the closing seconds. The playoffs in Dostal seems so close to getting it. And Eichel just throws this one towards the net. Redirected there by Mark Stone, and it goes through the arm of Lucas Dostal. Tough break.
With Darren Millard and Ryan Wallace on Fox Sports Las Vegas.
Golden Knights ruining the shutout. See if that has any impact going forward. I don't know whether it really does, but just the mind games of the Stanley Cup playoffs. You don't allow that extra confidence from Lucas Dostal as the series moves to Southern California for games 3 and 4. Covering it last night, calling it on TNT was Kenny Albert, who joined us now. What a privilege to have the man on the VGK Insider Show on Fox Sports Las Vegas. How are you, pal?
I'm great, guys. How are you?
We're doing good. Good to chat with you. Thanks for doing this. Really appreciate it. What's your schedule like right now? Give us an idea of what your weekend looks like.
So in the first round was part of 3 different series. Did 3 games in Philadelphia, 1 in Denver, 1 in Montreal, and Game 7 in Tampa on Sunday. So we bounced around a little bit. Because 2 networks split all the games, TNT and ESPN, you're not necessarily on one series. It goes by days of the week. For example, TNT's now in the midst of 4 straight days with games, and then ESPN has the next 2 days. So our crew, we were here in Vegas for the game last night, and our next one is Game 3 in Minnesota Saturday, and then the next one after that would be Game 5 in Denver on Wednesday. So good to be a part of the Golden Knights Ducks series last night, and now we move on to a couple of games with the Avalanche and the Wild.
I grew up, obviously, in Canada on the Hockey Night in Canada side, and you always had crews assigned to a specific series. I know it's different with you as you just walked us through. Would you rather just do one series, or would you rather bounce around and see more of the playoffs?
Both. There are positives to both different, both situations. When I was with NBC, for example, a lot of times you did stay on one series, and sometimes even 2 series in the first round, or perhaps even in the second round, because one network had all the games. Would it be, ideal to stay on one series and be up on every storyline and see every second of every game in person? Probably, but it's actually a lot of fun to bounce around and be involved in different series. We had the chance to do Game 3 in Montreal in the first round. It went to overtime. Lane Hudson scored the winner. Game 7 in Tampa. 3 exciting games in Philly, and Game 1 in Denver. So there's also something to that, being involved in multiple series in a specific round. So I kind of like it both ways. Positives all around.
Kenny Albert's with us, esteemed author as well as broadcaster on the VGK Insider Show on Fox Sports Las Vegas with Darren Millard and Ryan Wallace.
Kenny, I'm curious, like in terms of the bouncing around the schedule, you're kind of all over the place just in terms of travel and everything. What does that prep look like for you when you're bouncing around from different series to series and with the travel? Like, what does that look like? What's a day of prep look like for you?
Well, my prep's always similar. I have a checklist that I go through before every game, no matter what the sport, and it involves a lot of reading, watching the previous game, going to press conferences, talking to players, coaches. To be honest, the way the system is set up now, we have days between most games. I've only worked one back-to-back in the playoffs, and that was a Montreal-Philly last week. This series, for example, this round, I had 2 days at home in between Game 7 in Tampa and travel to get to Vegas for last night's game. And now we have 2 full days before the Minnesota-Colorado game. So there is more prep time than usual. So for last night's game, for example, I was able to watch Game 1 at home, the Golden Knights 3-1 win over the Ducks. So watch that entire game. I usually read about a week's worth of articles. I'll go back 7 days and read all of the articles written about both teams. So I think if you do that and you watch the previous game, you're pretty good as far as the prep, and go through the the various notes and statistics that are provided by the teams in the league. And then we went to the morning skates yesterday, talked to both coaches, John Tortorella and Joel Quenneville. So, that was pretty much the prep leading up to Game 1. And then for Mini Colorado, I've watched portions of the first 2 games. I'll catch up on what I missed. But, again, I'll read about 7 days worth of articles, and then we'll go to practices on Saturday and speak to both coaches. When you are working a lot of back-to-back games, it's a little more condensed as far as the prep, but I find that I get a lot done during the travel time, on the planes and in taxis, Ubers, and the hotel rooms. So always find a way to get it done. And in some cases, believe it or not, if it's a lot of games in the stretch of a couple of days or a week or multiple sports, for some reason, I feel like I'm even more in tune to the prep work, and you just find a way to get it done.
You forgot about listening to 100% Hockey Podcast with Shani and I.
Oh, absolutely. I listened on the plane the other day.
No.
I listened to, which episode was it? Scotty Bowman. It was tremendous.
Is he not amazing? Like, he is, and you've been around him enough to know, too. Like, he starts firing questions back at you as much as you fire questions to that guy.
Oh, it's incredible. His memory, photographic memory. I've had one phone conversation with Scotty Bowman, and it was during the 2019 St. Louis Blues run to the Cup. And it was during the conference final, and it was the 50th anniversary of when they advanced to the Stanley Cup back in 1969, 70, or 68, 69. And I had a couple of questions, and a mutual friend gave me his email address, and he said, "Call me in 10 minutes. I'll be in the car." And he was citing specific games, scores, goal scorers, where the post-game meal was, what hotel they stayed in, and a lot of the stuff I was able to look up in real time as he was talking about those games and who scored the overtime goals. And it was speaking of 100%, it was 100% right on. It's just incredible, the memory that he has and the recall for things that happened 50 years ago.
So from your perspective, how about this Ducks Golden Knights series, Joel Quenneville against John Tortorella?
It's two coaches that I know pretty well. John Tortorella, of course, coached in New York with the Rangers, and I was doing the radio during that time. And believe it or not, I go back about 35 years with Joel Quenneville. My first job in broadcasting was with the Baltimore Skipjacks of the American Hockey League. I was the radio play-by-play announcer, and my road roommate was Barry Trotz. He was our assistant coach. So to save money on the road, they put the radio guy with the assistant coach. Washington acquired a defenseman towards the end of his NHL career named Joel Quenneville, and they sent him down to Baltimore, played about 40 games that season. So I was riding the buses on those 4, 5, 6 hour rides, and we had a young Barry Trotz and Joel Quenneville in his, one of his final stints as a player, and started coaching not that long after that. So it's a lot of fun, to watch how his career has developed, and he's obviously had a remarkable run with the 3 Stanley Cups and the second most playoff wins of all time. So always fun to catch up with them and chat with them like we did before the game yesterday.
Ryan, go ahead.
When you look at the series between the Golden Knights, the Anaheim Ducks, you got to watch Game 1, you got to call Game 2. What are kind of the prevailing storylines for you out of the first 2 games going to Game 3 and 4 in Anaheim?
Well, I think in Game 1, Carter Hart was obviously a huge story, number 1 star, stopping 33 of 44. The Golden Knights found a way, as John Tortorella said. We found a way to get it done. Anaheim, you look at their first-round series against Edmonton, they were tremendous on the power play, and obviously the Golden Knights were able to shut them down in that area in Game 1. But then yesterday, watching in person, the Ducks certainly seemed to have, the speed element going, and Joel Quenneville, speaking of coaching, made a couple of changes that paid off. 2 guys that hadn't played since March, Harkins and Johnston, were definitely factors in the game. So, the coaching moves that Quenneville made were certainly a big part of that win. The Golden Knights taking the 4 penalties early obviously was a major storyline as well. Even though the Ducks didn't score in any of those power plays, they had the territorial edge in the first period, the edge in shots, and the Golden Knights really couldn't seem to get a rhythm going. And I think it'll be a long series. It's 2 really fun teams to watch. When you look around the league, some of the new, so to speak, teams in this second round that haven't had a lot of playoff success or appearances over the last 5 to 10 years. You look at Buffalo, and they hadn't been in the playoffs in 14 years. Minnesota hadn't won a series since 2015. Philadelphia getting to the second round after everybody counted them out, and the Ducks, who went 7 straight years out of the playoffs. So it's fun to have some new blood in this second round, and I could certainly see this series going the distance. I wouldn't be surprised.
What's caught me off guard is the Ducks played the highest scoring series in the first round, and Vegas was second, and now we've had a couple of great goalie duels.
Right. I mean, Dostal was really impressive over the first two games, and he kind of struggled towards the end of the regular season.
Yeah.
Won 5-1 over the last 7 games, and the Ducks were able to get it done in shutting down Edmonton. And you're right. You look at what Carter Hart was able to do prior to last night, the amazing run that he's been on with the Golden Knights, and only gave up 2 in the game last night. So the goaltenders have certainly been a big part of it.
I feel like Edzo just tries his hardest to get as far off track as possible. Is that true?
He's about 20 feet away from me right now.
Good.
There's a wall between us, so I can ask him if you like.
Yeah.
No, he's the best. He's the best. We have so much fun together with Edzo and Brian Boucher, and there certainly are some inside jokes at times during the telecast, but they're among the best in the business. Edzo's been at this for a long time. He's called about 15 Stanley Cup Finals. Bush, over the last 5, 6, 7 years, has developed into one of the top ice-level analysts in the game, and sometimes he's upstairs when Edzo's not there or assigned to another game. And I thought, I'm biased because I was part of it, but I thought that the gold medal game in Milan, the entire broadcast, I think in a lot of our minds that were a part of it, we hope to match the level of the game. And I thought if you listen back to Eddie and Bush's work in that game, and Catherine Tappan, who was with us, and Mike Tirico, who did the intermissions and the pre and post game, everyone was at the top of their game. And I thought Eddie and Bush, they should win an Emmy for their performance that day. They were just at the top of their game, as they usually are. But certainly with that huge audience that day, and we're lucky enough to be together through the conference final this year. The Stanley Cup final rotates every year between TNT and ESPN. We had it last year. We'll have it again next year. But it's a lot of fun working with those guys.
I said it to Eddie yesterday. I'll say it to you right now, and I've passed this along in the past. Every time I see you guys at the rink and you're about to call a game, I say thank you. And you know exactly what I mean by that.
Well, we certainly appreciate it. We do have a lot of fun, but there's a lot of work that goes into it, whether it's going to those morning skates, talking to coaches, watching games. Right now, we're all watching the game together, the Flyers-Carolina game. The three of us are together watching the game, and then we'll head to dinner, and we head to Minnesota tomorrow.
Travel safe, buddy. Really thanks for doing this. Appreciate it a bunch, and love your work, and safe travels.
Anytime. Thanks, Darren. Thanks, Ryan. You guys are the best. Really appreciate it.
There he is, Kenny Albert. Nobody's called more the Big Four in the national stage than Kenny Albert, and he does have a great call. That Olympic final was like delivered perfectly, and he brought up Tirico in the intermissions. It was so simple in its production, Tirico with Edzo, Tirico with Bush, the game. Those guys just they love to have fun, but that was professional. It matched the intensity, the nerviness of the game, and now they get back to themselves a little bit, and Kenny must love it when Bush is there, because Edzo picks on Bush and leaves Kenny alone. But if Bush isn't there, Edzo's all over Kenny.
Yeah. No, I mean their chemistry is fantastic. The production, the entire broadcast is always second to none, and I absolutely love it. I love listening to Kenny Albert and Eddie Olczyk call a game. The assessment of Brian Boucher, generally speaking, like everything that he brings to the table is exactly the type of insight that you want as a hockey fan watching a game. So that was tremendous. That was awesome. It was great to be able to catch up with Kenny Albert today.
And Jared Justice for getting in touch with Kenny.
Yeah, no, it was another big time win on the booking for Jared Justice, and he's not here to take his accolades, his flowers.
I always like it when he books those guests, and because I go back and a long way with a lot of these guys. So then he turns around and goes, "Wow, what?" Like Gus, Darren Dreger, the other day. So Kenny's working these series, and he gets to dive into Anaheim against Vegas. The coaching matchup is interesting between two like old school guys. And how they handle things, and you can hear media availability. You can see it in how they run their teams. I've always said nobody likes winning as much as Joel Quenneville.
Sure,
it's at a different level. Some guys hate to lose, and there's that age-old argument: should you hate losing more than you like winning? And I think that there's something to be said for just despising to lose a hockey game. But on the other side, the enjoyment of winning, or the pure ecstasy of winning a hockey game or a championship, there's no equal to Joel Quenneville. And in this series, just think about a year ago. Neither guy was on the radar with either hockey club. Right. And they're into the second round. You could say, in large credit to the general managers who brought their respective coaches in.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that there's an argument against that, right? Like, you look at the decision from Pat Verbeek to go out and hire Joel Quenneville, to bring him in, to recognize that he's got a young team that is ready to take a step, or should be ready to take a step, and you bring in a coach that has had a proven track record of taking a great young core and turning it into something fantastic. And then, you look on the other side, and we talked about it at the time when Kelly McCrimmon made the decision, with 8 games left in the regular season. That is not an easy thing to do, but if you believe in your room, if you believe in the team that you built, if you believe that a different approach or a different voice can get the most out of them, then you make the decision and you let things kind of fall where they may. And you can't really argue with what the Golden Knights did down the stretch in the regular season with John Tortorella, what they were able to do in their first round matchup against Utah. So yeah, I don't see any other direction you can point to. It's the general managers that had the foresight to make those decisions and get their teams to where they are right now.
And a little stick tap to the veteran coaches, because we're in the midst of a trend right now of younger guys coming up and that new wave approach, being able to handle the modern athlete in a more current status or approach, and we've seen it work great in San Jose or Washington or Edmonton. Knobloch coming up on the underside. There's that side, but then recent hires, Rick Bowness. Old school guy, like as old school as you're going to get based on what we heard at the end of the season. Torts, like there's like he wrote the old school book. Joel Quenneville. Yeah. So are we seeing a bit of a shift in the coaching approach by general managers?
I mean, maybe, like it's possible. I just think that, in the case of Anaheim, right, like there aren't many coaches out there that you're going to look at and say are a better option or better than Joel Quenneville. Like, he is.
Well, there's lots of young guys like knocking on the door, like the Washington, San Jose examples. There's lots of those guys there that they could have gone to.
You're not wrong, but I guess my point is, when you think about Anaheim in particular, when you think about Quenneville and what he was able to do with Chicago, it is not exactly the same, but a young core that built and grew and were able to find something transcendent under Quenneville. Like, there are similarities there. He's got proof of concept with being able to take a roster full of really good young players and turning it into something tremendous. And, I just think that with Quenneville, like, you can see that as he's grown as a coach, old school or not, he has grown in terms of his approach with players. And I make the same argument for John Tortorella. Like, Torts has grown as a coach and understands, or at least has said enough in terms of how you need to deal with today's athlete. Maybe it's a little bit different because the Golden Knights are a little bit older just in terms of a veteran team. But I think that when you have guys that have been around for a long time that continue to grow, continue to develop, continue to see how they need to approach the modern athlete these days, they don't really go out of style.
It was trending that way.
It's not trending that way anymore.
But it was. What?
I mean, yeah, but like, Pete DeBoer just got hired. I would imagine Bruce Cassidy's going to get hired when there's an opening that makes sense for him. Like, those are all guys that have been around for a while that have done a lot of winning that, wouldn't necessarily be the young up-and-comer. And I think that their names are just as hot as anybody else's.
Pittsburgh, Calgary, Edmonton, San Jose, Washington. Like there's a Boston went down a different path. I just wanted to acknowledge for the old guys. Good on them with Torts and Q. Game 3 tomorrow night. I'm going to try and get Gosher on. He's in Southern California, working it for the Vegas Golden Knights. We'll try to scrounge up some time to get the play-by-play voice on the TV side of the Vegas Golden Knights. If you were going to put a list together, and I don't know whether you want 1 or 2 or 3 points. You can stop at just 1 if you want. But what are the more important parts of the game that Vegas has to be better at in Game 3 than they were in the 2 games at home?
Well, I think that we've touched on it throughout the show, but I want to see more possession in the offensive zone. We've talked about their forecheck pressure and how it needs to improve and be better just for Vegas, generally speaking. So that would be right at the top of my list for the Golden Knights. Discipline. And, again, we touched on the penalties in yesterday's game. They're penalties. It's not careless to a certain degree, but, you got to find a way.
I think it was more careless than it was rambunctious.
Not reckless, more careless.
Yeah.
You have to find a way to cut down on the amount of power plays you're giving the Anaheim Ducks. Like, it's been 9 power play opportunities through the first 2 games. That is way too many for a Golden Knights team that is generally very disciplined. So I'd love to see them cut down on that. And, again, I feel like I'm a broken record here when it comes to the power play, but I think for the Golden Knights, you want to get the power play going in a way that's meaningful in the series. I know they scored a power play goal with 5 seconds left. It breaks the shutout in game number 2.
But I thought the power play had chances last night.
I know that it had chances.
I thought it had chances in game 1. I think their power play's been way better in this series than it was the opener.
I want it to break through. I want it to score in a meaningful moment in the game. Like, you get that power play goal earlier on in the game, it can change the trajectory of what is taking place. And it didn't happen, and I know that's just the reality of it, but I want to see the power play
saying
be a
the power play
has
to break through is like saying they got to score more goals. Like
Darren, they were 25% in the regular season. They were a top 5 power play all year. It needs to be
simplistic,
a weapon for you.
And I think it's trending towards that. I'm with you on the forecheck and ozone possession, and I'll go back to it. Exactly what I said yesterday. They got to spend less time in the penalty box than Anaheim. Just to give yourself more flow and rhythm in the game. And I'm interested to see what kind of VGK content is down there, like a presence. We expected Anaheim fans to be in the building, and there was at T-Mobile. I think there's going to be a flood of Golden Knight fans at Honda Center tomorrow night.
It would be really awesome. Like, I know that the atmosphere would be really fun to get down to Honda Center, to infiltrate, so to speak, across enemy lines and just go out there and cheer on your team. So, like, do it. If you're a Golden Knights fan, Southern California, nice breezy weather, you're right next to the beach. Like, go get it done.
You can drive down and come back.
Yeah, if you wanted to, for sure.
Yeah,
100%.
absolutely.
Yeah, easy enough.
Take a picture of the big thermometer for us.
Yeah, where is that?
Alec Martinez does it every time. I have no idea.
You don't know where it is?
Nope.
You've driven by it before, though, right?
I have, and I have not taken into account where it is. But
it's
Marty's the best at it.
Yeah, it's in Baker.
Baker. There you go. We'll see if our friend Danny Webster can get on that. He did it the last time. We'll take a break, and we'll come back with one-timers. News and notes from around the National Hockey League. Update you with the one game that's taking place tonight in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Stay with us on Fox Sports Las Vegas.
Carlson left corner, centered, one-timer, score!
It's time for One-Timers. A quick look at news and notes from around the National Hockey League. Brought to you by Paul Pata Law. It's not about the injury, it's about the recovery.
We have action underway in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Eastern Conference Series, Game 3 between Carolina and the Philadelphia Flyers. The Hurricanes enter this one with a 2-0 series lead, having won both games back in Raleigh at Lenovo Center. Now they're on the road in Philadelphia. Interesting matchup in this series. I talked about coaches Joe Quenneville and John Tortorella in the Anaheim and Vegas series. The Carolina Flyers matchup, you got a couple of legendary Philadelphia Flyer players. Good old number 17, Rod Brind'Amour, one of the top guys in Flyers history, coaching the Carolina Hurricanes against his buddy and former Flyer, number 22 and 92, former Flyer captain in Rick Tocchet. So just watching that. So it should be neither team will lack motivation. Let's say that it's 0-0 right now as they play in the back half of the first period. The shots are 7-6 Carolina, but the Flyers are going on a power play. Carolina has only trailed in one game the entire playoffs of their 6. They managed to rescue a 2-0 deficit in Game 2 and rally back and win it in overtime. Very important game in this series. Carolina up a pair and threatening to take a 3-0 series lead.
Yeah, I mean, it goes without saying the Philadelphia Flyers must win this game. They need this one in a big way. So, go out and find a way to take it. It's not an easy feat when you've got the Carolina Hurricanes. They're clicking on all cylinders right now.
Yeah, and I think this is the best that they've looked in the last several years. They win a round every year, and then it's just whether they get to the third round or not. But they can't get over that hump, this group anyway, to the Stanley Cup final. It's certainly there. I love talking about the path that's available. There's a path for them, knowing what's happening between Montreal and Buffalo, and that situation, a couple of inexperienced teams compared to Carolina. So I think this could be huge. And you never want to say they're too efficient, but they're bordering on being too efficient. Looking for what would be their 7th straight win to start the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Yeah, I don't know that I would make the argument about being too efficient. Like, you want as minimal mileage as humanly possible. Now, you want to balance that out with not having to wait a week and a half before starting the conference final. Yeah. But the reality is, if you're Carolina and you can get to a conference final going 8-1, 8-2, you'll take the extra rest, you'll take the extra recovery, and you feel pretty good about where your game is at overall.
The issue is they're 2 games ahead of the other series.
Sure, it's fair. I mean, again, not ideal.
But Buffalo's going to play tomorrow night against Montreal for Game 2, and that would be Game 2. The next night, if everything went Carolina's way, Carolina could be done as early as Saturday.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good point, but again, I think if you're going to ask the Carolina Hurricanes, do you want your ticket punched as quickly as possible to the conference final, or do you want to play an extra couple of days just to kind of get to the inevitable? I think they'll.
Do you think somebody would actually say, no, we need a couple of extra games in there?
Well, I mean, listen, They haven't really faced
the way
much
you said
adversity
that.
to this
You
point.
left it open to like somebody else in the past. Has said, we'd like to fit in a couple of games here.
No one's ever going to want that. No, not at all. But again, like that would worry me as a Carolina Hurricane fan. Like if they skirt through or skate through the first 2 rounds, if they're 8-0 going to a conference final, and then they find themselves on their back foot or they have their first setback in the conference final, then that would concern me. So I don't know.
It also depends on what Montreal and Buffalo do. Like if Montreal already went 7, if they go deep and happen to get by Buffalo, there'd be some attrition on that side. So maybe it would be a good thing. Buffalo went deeper than they wanted to against Boston in 6 games. So if they do get a break, I worry about rhythm during the Stanley Cup playoffs, and there is a situation where there's too much rest. Now Philadelphia, I firmly believe they got screwed over by the schedule in this for nobody's fault, just the timing of it. And they had to go right back in after winning that first-round series against Pittsburgh and play that a rested Carolina team that had the perfect amount of time off, and they got blown away in the first game and really on their heels. And when you're giving away one game, like just giving away one game because of the schedule, it makes it tough to win a series.
Yeah, for sure. I don't disagree with that at all. So, if you're Philadelphia, you got to find a way to get one here and make it a series, because going down 3-0 to Carolina, it's over. It's inevitable.
Buffalo won over Montreal last night, 4-2 was the final in that one. So the Sabres will try to do what they couldn't against the Boston Bruins and take a 2-0 series lead. That's a fun series to me. Like as an old school hockey guy, old Adams division tilt, the Sabres and the Canadiens is going to be a fun series.
I love watching both of the teams. I love watching the Buffalo Sabres. I love watching the Montreal Canadiens. Like, this to me has the potential to just be really entertaining, very, very fun. So I'm looking forward to settling in with the series. It's just kind of unfortunate that the first couple of games for Montreal Buffalo happen to fall on Vegas Golden Knights game days.
And then you've got the Minnesota-Colorado series, which when we talked to John Shannon, we made mention that they have 3 days between games 1 and 2. A real opportunity for Minnesota to reset and have a couple of practice days along with a day off in there and just get away from all the noise. It'll be interesting to see what they do with their goaltending, whether they go back with Gustafsson or whether they return with Wallstedt.
What would you do?
I don't know whether there's a right answer there. You went with Gustafsson for a reason. Maybe I give him another chance. It worked in Edmonton, like just giving it a one-game shakeup and then returning to Ingram. But those two guys are great between Gustafsson and Wallstedt. Maybe because the veteran side of it, I'd go Gustafsson. And big game at home, huge opportunity. He was your number one guy all year. Lean towards that, but Wallstedt looks pretty unflappable. He also gave up 8 goals.
Right. It's not an easy decision.
8 of 9
by any stretch. I think I'd fall, or I feel like I lean more toward going back to Wallstedt, just because there's a reason you started him in the playoffs. Like, there was a reason why you made him the starter, why you trusted him to get through the Dallas Stars. I know he got
but it's so
lit
close
up for 8
them.
goals. I know, but I think you can go back to Gustafsson.
I don't know about that. That's a tough ask.
You don't think so?
I think if you go back to Wallstedt, that's your guy.
But you don't think that the other way around?
No, I think you can ham and egg it here for a couple of games with Gustafsson, and then if you have to go back, you can go back. But if you just go for one and then back to Valset, that you're making your bed there. We've got some more award finalists of the Norris Trophy for National Hockey League's best defenseman.
Mm-hmm.
Rasmus Dahlin, Buffalo, Cale Makar from the Avalanche, and Zach Werenski from the Columbus Blue Jackets. Zach Werenski getting in there. Some like traditional names, not in the mix. We'll see. This is a big step for Rasmus Dahlin.
Yeah, for sure.
He
100%.
capitalized on the attention that this surge by Buffalo produced.
Yeah, I mean, best defenseman on, arguably the best team in hockey the back half of the season. Like, good on him, right? Good on him for taking advantage of it, being recognized for it, and we'll see if it results in a Norris Trophy win for Rasmus Dahlin, but it's a nice accomplishment to get your name right up there with the Cale Makars, the Zach Werenskis of the world.
He's a first-time Norris Trophy finalist. Finalist for the 6th season in a row is Makar, who's won it twice.
Yeah.
Thinking that he'll win. Although Zach Werenski was second in scoring among defensemen, and he's going to get some love. Problem is they just didn't make the playoffs, right? He's a finalist for the second straight year.
Yeah, I mean, if you're asking me, it's probably Cale Makar. I think he's the best defenseman in the game right now. Doesn't mean that the best defenseman's always going to have the best season, but in the way that you kind of look at Connor McDavid and you recognize that Connor is the best player in the world, I have a hard time going any other direction but Cale Makar. Quinn Hughes is right there for me. But, obviously he's not in the running, so it'll likely be Cale.
There's a couple of GM openings still out there. Mm-hmm. The whole Toronto situation has overshadowed what's happening in Vancouver. Well, Toronto took the first overall pick, the draft lottery win from Vancouver. And it's certainly dominated the attention. But Vancouver is, I'm told, is close to making a decision on the general manager. Jim Rutherford's going to step aside going forward from the president's job and be a consultant. But Patrick Allvin is no longer the general manager in Vancouver, so they're closer to naming a replacement to Allvin there, and then they have to decide on what they're going to do with their coach. Just like Toronto's got to decide what they're going to do with their coach. Adam Foote's the coach right now in standing with the Vancouver Canucks, and then you have the Nashville Predators. Barry Trotz given up the general manager's job. They've interviewed several people, and it's been interesting that there wasn't the same names with all three organizations. Like Toronto had its core group of finalists. Vancouver's had its final three names, and there's not a lot of spillover to Nashville or between Nashville, Vancouver, Toronto.
Well, is Vancouver and Nashville just not focused on data or what?
But no, there's not any spillover from Vancouver to Nashville either.
Right,
They're all three teams, a very different group of final 3-4 guys that were in the running for that general manager's job. It just when you have three openings at the same time.
Yeah, right.
I would have assumed that you would have had a couple of people that were sort of swirling around at least a pair of the teams, but that hasn't been the case. When coaches come up, like at the end of the season, think about it a few years ago when Bruce Cassidy was let go by Boston. Like there was a couple of teams that were circling him right away, and that hasn't been the case with the general managers' jobs.
Yeah, I mean, organizations are in different spots too. Like Vancouver's in a different place from Nashville, and Nashville's in a different place from Toronto. maybe like I wonder if that has something to do with it, or you kind of know what you're looking for, what you're coveting, and you're attracting or zeroing in on candidates that fit that, and it's not necessarily the same things across all three organizations.
Let's take a break. We'll come back with final thoughts. It's the VGK Insider Show on Fox Sports Las Vegas.
I'm on fire over here, lads. Come on, I need some back and forth. Come on, what do you got for me? Now make it quick, make it funny.
We're down to the wire. It's the last minute of play.
Thanks to John Shannon and Kenny Albert for joining us on today's edition of the VGK Insider Show. Also, John Tortorella from his media availability. And we're starting to get into a groove with John, just what he will talk about, what he won't talk about. And you will hear the odd question from us that we kind of know he's not going to go down the path of. But the reaction you get, whether it's short or brief, and those can be two different things, will also give you a little bit of insight. What I did like about today is, he's got something in mind that he's seen from all the viewing of the game film that might give us a different look. Lineup changes is one thing that we haven't really dove into. Do you think he held off on that after game number 1? Do you think that's a possibility going into game 3?
I do. I do think that there's an opportunity or a possibility that we might see either Riley Smith or Brandon Saad in the lineup for the Golden Knights, just simply because, I think offensively it hasn't generated enough for Vegas over the first 2 games. And, we kind of touched on and talked about speed, right? Like their ability to forecheck well and kind of support the puck in a positive way to get more zone time, more offensive zone time. Brandon Saad can skate, Riley Smith can skate. I just think that maybe you can capitalize on that to a certain degree. So I do think that there's opportunity or possibility for a tweak to the lineup in terms of personnel.
Yeah, I love their 12. I do, and there's real benefits to going back with the forward contingent, the way that they iced it in the first 2 games of this series. So you don't want to be getting into a situation. Are we making a change just to make a change? Like it felt a little bit like that from the Anaheim side. Like more, we're making a change because we're going to send a message, and that message was taking Mason McTavish out, and they also put in Ross Johnson to the lineup, a big bruiser, a type of guy. I think we're going to see Mason McTavish back in for Anaheim, and we'll see if that lights a fire under him. But from the Vegas side, you just got to be a little careful. Now, Torts has coached Brandon Saad in the past and had great success with Brandon Saad, and 16 goals out of Riley Smith this year. That's a lot for a guy that didn't play every game. So there's elements to suggest that they would get a bump out of putting one of those two players in. Don't think they'll make two changes.
I think it's an option. It's certainly on the table, and again, you mentioned Riley Smith, 16 goals, didn't play every game, depth piece. Maybe he can pop one for you if he's in the lineup.
Kenny Albert, he had a blast with us. Sent a note saying thank you for having me on. So nice to have another big guest booked by Jared Justice. So we'll be back with you tomorrow, 4 o'clock, teeing up Game 3 on Fox Sports Las Vegas.